if you're trying to figure out how Fango really defeated all the Lunerboonies, you probably saw. But here I am podcasting it because it's easier and faster. So be sure to enjoy. Because first thing we see Fango defeat is the Megamoles with a whole bunch of cars and trucks, including the trackers, the rollers, and the flat wheel cars, which have their wheels underneath. Or flat ground cars, we call them, because their wheels are underneath them and you can't see them unless they're tipped over due to the chaos that. Because they tip over because Strong Lungs has a lot of car crashes and destruction. That's pretty much what it's all about. Well, maybe not every episode has it, but still. Then we have the Autobellas, which Fango just makes them run into each other when they try to destroy him. He just jumps really high and then they collide with each other. And this girl made of candy. Fango defeats the girl made of candy with a Space Needle type tower, whatever those towers are called, like the type the CN Tower is and the Tower of the Americans in San Antonio, Texas, whatever those are called. Then we have the Mug Girl, who was defeated with an airport control tower, and Fango used windmill towers to destroy the girl made of cake batter. And he destroyed the girl made of ketchup with a clock tower, and he destroyed the girl made of nacho cheese with a cell tower, and he destroyed the girl made of green pistachio ice cream with a coolant tower. There's actually two of them, but he just used one of them. And he destroys the girl made of orange juice with a lighthouse, and the girl made of marshmallow cream with a radar tower, and he defeats the girl made of purple crystal with a smokestack or chimney, and he destroys the girl made of some sort of gray storm cloud matter with a microwave tower, and he destroys the girl made of black smoke with another type of cell tower, a self-support type, and he destroys the girl made of noodles with two TV towers, and he destroys the kitty drones with a church, like a lot of churches, and he destroys the elementals girls with, it's a skyscraper with a large letter K logo because it's Keystone Tower, which is in Penford, which is a city in Stronglongs. And the reason why the air elemental is yellow is because some fantasy cartoons and series and movies and video games have yellow clouds like this. Well, this one's actually orange, as you can understand. Some are actually orange rather than yellow. But yeah, that's why this girl, the yellow one, the air elemental, is yellow. Also because the movie you may have seen, the movie The Fifth Element, the color for air was yellow. That's why the air elemental, a girl from Stronglongs, or aka the one I made, that's the reason why she's yellow. And Fango uses the statues, or defeats the statues. These are possessed statues or living statues that are aggressive and evil. Well, not directly evil, they're just aggressive and trying to destroy Stronglongs. I mean, that is kind of evil, but they were just cast to be evil because of the guy who sent them here. I'll tell you who the guy is who brought the Lunerboonies to Stronglungs so they could destroy them, including Fango. So Fango had to throw them at the Capitol building of Stronglungs, which is in Greenridge. He didn't mean to, though, but turns out when the dome crushed them, the dome of the Capitol building crushed them, it defeated them. But he still said sorry for destroying the Capitol building, because he knew it was important. And here's the chocolate mermaids. Do they look tasty or do they look evil? I'm sure both. Yeah, they got a candy wrapper for their top. But Fango defeats them with a rooftop globe, which was on a skyscraper office building. He had to just tear it right off and throw it right at them, and that's how he defeats them. And he uses a Ferris wheel to destroy the ghost fairy. And she wasn't like just a normal ghost that it just went right through her, because she's more like the ghost from Ghostbusters. Well, whichever one it's called. Let me check. Ah, it's the 2016 Ghostbusters. what it is. Yeah, she was more like the ghost from the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. That's why she couldn't, like, that's why the Ferris wheel couldn't just go right through her. Because she was pretty much made out of the same stuff that the ghost from the the 2016 Ghostbusters movie was, like, Ghost was made out of. She was pretty much made out of that same type of skin he was made. Like, yeah, she was made out of the same type of skin the ghosts from 2016 Ghostbusters was made out of. Then we have these three robot girls, alien robot girls. Fango had to defeat them with a Doppler radar tower as well. But the golf ball kind, not golf cart. You know, the golf ball kind. Yeah, that big white golf ball Doppler radar tower. He had to use that to defeat these girls. Then we have the Piranha Girl, which he used a cruise ship to defeat her. Or, no, not cruise ship. That's for a different one. He used a cargo ship to defeat her. It was pretty aggressive, but at least he stopped her. And we got the Insect Girls. He had to use a grain bin. He exploded them with a grain bin. One's the two insect girls, one's an ant, and one's a wasp. And the ant's wearing a crown. Well, very well, Your Majesty, but you had to be defeated. Same with your sidekick, the Wasp Girl. She had to be defeated too. And then, it's the Abominable Snow Girl. Fango had to electrocute her with transmissions towers. He had to push her into transmissions towers to electrocute her. Then we have the Urkin, and Urkins are huge. Urkins are part dog, part hippo, part whale, and part walrus. And they are literally the size of the Eiffel Tower. And they can even crush an entire airliner because their feet is so big. Yeah, that's why they're so dangerous. But Fango used a submarine. He just threw it right through her chest. Also, it's kind of silly because her top is like half t-shirt and half tank top, as you can see. And she's got a very silly looking skirt. But hey, who cares? If that's how I design her, it's how I design her. Then we have the Dark Auras, which are these girls. They can shapeshift into public property, like types of structures. Well, the only type of structure they can shapeshift is the type that's right above each one. Each one shapeshifts into a type of public property, but only the kind that has the name right above them. And Fango had to defeat the Dark Auras with a rock tower like this. Yeah, he just knocks it right on them, and it destroys them. Then we have the Blob Princesses. And yeah, Fango had to use a billboard to defeat them, because there was an orb inside them that was keeping them alive. He had to throw it at that, and once he did, it burst, and then the Blob Princesses burst. Their oozy skin went everywhere. But at least no one was hurt, and at least it didn't infect anybody. Everything's okay. Then we have the Lightning Raptor and the Moon Bomber. And they were huge too. The Lightning Raptor has electrical powers, and it can strike anything with lightning by pointing at it with its index finger. And the Moon Bomber's a living bomb, and it can explode. But it doesn't die after it explodes. It stays alive. It has a power that it can create an explosion with. Fango had to defeat them with station towers, or like 2 different kinds, one for each one. And then we have this one, which I forgot what I called her. I'll be right back to figure out what I should call this one. I came up with a name now. It's the Aether Maw. And she's got an electrical power, an anti-gravity power, which anything she strikes or shocks with her electrical power will rise into the air, but only like right above her head. And then it won't be like directly right straight behind her, but it'll like be like in areas where she can throw it and launch it, especially at anything she wants, because she likes to destroy buildings with debris from other buildings she destroyed before, including vehicles. And that's how she does it. Fango had to defeat her with an airliner, which is those airplanes you see at the airport. You know what I mean. Yeah, you've seen those before. And we got the Bat Lady. Hope Batman doesn't fall in love with this girl because she's too dangerous. Fango had to use a helicopter to defeat her. And this is the Dragon Lady. Fango had to use a cathedral, which is this kind. Yeah, like a big cathedral like this. But not like a dome kind. He uses a dome kind in a different one. Then we have the Hydra Girl. Look. I forgot what I named them. Some of these Lunerboonies have names, and I don't remember what I named them. Well, he used a fighter jet. He used 3, and he aimed them for each head, and it defeated her. Very well done. Then we have the Zombie Lady, which actually affected Forky, one of our friends, and he looked like this. Doesn't that look kind of adorable, or does that just look a little weird to you? I don't know. Anyway, he defeats the alien zombie girl with a pine tree by just toppling it right on her. He crushes her with a pine tree. Then we have the T-Rex Lady. And Fango uses a foghorn tower, which is a tower invented by Stronglongs. And then we have this girl. She's known as the Disguiser, and Fango uses a substation to defeat her. Then we have Gold Kitty. Fango uses a train to defeat her. And we have, the Kachina Bunny. Now what does Fango use to defeat this one? I know Kachina dolls are just teaching tools. But this Kachina is not. She is not a god. She is an evil demon creature. Well, she's not a demon, but she's hostile. Fango had to defeat this one. She is a Kachina, but she's a rabbit. But she is bad, not good. Ah, that's right. He uses an air raid tower, which is an air raid siren type tower. Another tower the strong ones invented. All he had to do was defeat her with that. He just had to whack her right across the face with it. And it just took her right out. Next we have the Emperators. Now, I forgot what Fango used to defeat them. Let's say he blew them up with a factory. Oh no! The Reapers! Now these are the scary girls. Fango had to use a dome cathedral, a Capitol building type cathedral to defeat them. Oh no, not the Frog Lady. Fango had to use a battleship to defeat her. And here's the Bozo Lady. Her name is Lady Bozo. You know, Bozo, the Japanese thing? Yeah, that creature. Well, Fango had to use... he had to use a cruise ship. Now, that's what he used the cruise ship to do. Or to defeat. That's the one he used the cruise ship on. Then we have the Mutant Girls. Fango had to use a whole bunch of commercial villains to defeat these girls. You see one's a crocodile, the red one's a crocodile, the yellow one's a harpy, the blue one's a shark, a harpy for the yellow one. A harpy's like a person that half bird. And the white one's a whale, the orange one's a scarl, which is a person that's half scorpion. And the green one's a naga. Well, I think that's the right term, which is a person that's half snake. The black one's a drider, which is a person that's half spider. And the purple one's a Cecilia, or if that's the right term, which is a person that's part octopus. And Fango had to use commercial buildings to defeat these ones. Ooh, a girl made of garbage. Fango had to use an oil refinery tower to defeat her. And she just went garbage everywhere. She just burst into a whole pile of garbage. Ooh, Venus flytrap girls, you better watch out, 'cause they ain't good. Now he defeated these girls with a whole bunch of tanks. Or did I say these girls or this girl? I meant these girls. And he defeated these girls with a watchtower. These girls are just known as the Machine Girls. Here's Miss Cthulhu. Fango had to use a bridge. He had to collapse a suspension bridge to defeat her. He crushed her with it for good. The Sandworm Girl. Fango had to use a subway train by shoving it into her mouth, causing her to choke on it. And then he exploded it right inside her body, which killed her instantly. Now meet the Krakens. These meanies are scary as heck. This is what Fango used. He used these sphere-shaped storage tanks to defeat them. Then we have the Treant Women. Fango used an onion dome cathedral. You know, like the one in Russia. You've probably seen it. Then we have the Alien Girls. Aren't they pretty or what? Well, Fango used an intercom tower to defeat them. Then we have the Fruitlands, which Fango used a barn and silo to defeat. And then he just pretty much ate them. Then we have the Wendigo Girl. This one Fango had to defeat with a whole bunch of city utilities. Then we have the Gremlins, which are men instead of women. Fango defeats them with a beacon tower. And the beacon tower is the one right next to the air raid siren tower. And in between the satellite tower and the air raid siren tower. Then we have the Loch Ness Lady, which Fango had to use a cement plant to defeat her. Then we have the Lizard Lady. Fango had to use a warehouse to defeat her. Then we have the Zorvax, or however it's pronounced, or I think it's Zorvac, or Zorvok, or Zarvok. I think it's pronounced Zarvok. Anyway, Fango had to use a crane to defeat this girl. And here's the Grimlows. Fango had to use 3 different kinds of buildings. Each one was in a certain part of Stronglungs. He had to use one he had to use an office building on, one he had to use a hotel on, and one he had to use a hospital on. And here's the Leviathan Girl. Fango had to take this one out with an aircraft carrier. Then we have the Medusas. Yeah, you can see 2 are men and one's a female. And Fango used a satellite tower on one of them. And here are the Gargoyles, which Fango had to use the crowd trams. And this is another girl, the Mudhead Lady, just like the Mudhead Kachina. But Fango had to use a blimp to take her out. You know, these are the antenna heads. Now Fango had to use the oil towers to defeat them, which are these things. And then there's also the strange fish girl. This lady Whoops, sorry, my cursor got on screen. I'm trying to keep it off screen, so. But Fango had to use the storage towers to defeat her. The oil towers and storage towers are also the Strongling's invention. The Golem Girl had to be defeated with an internet tower, which is the one on the very far left, right next to the satellite tower. And here's another one, the Cyclops Girls. Fango had to use construction vehicles, these big kinds of construction vehicles, to defeat her. And now we got the Storm Cloud Girls, which Fango had to use water towers to defeat these ladies. Different colored girls made out of clouds, and he had to throw a water tower at them. Like there's literally 8 of them. He had to get 8 water towers and throw it into their bodies so they could hit the orb inside. And then we got Girlzilla. Uh-oh. She is one meanie. Fango had to use a tram to defeat her. You know, the cable cars, like you see. Most of them are in San Francisco, but Stronglings don't really like California, so we only go for the ones in El Reno, Oklahoma. And last but not least, Miss Behemoth. Fango had to use Semi-Truck Tower, which is a tower similar to the Eiffel Tower. And Tokyo Tower. A very big communications tower, but instead it's in Semi-Truck City, which is a city in Stronglings. And there you have it. All the Lunerboonies that Fango had to defeat.